everyone, this is a continuation of my series on South African travel tips, and today we're talking about connectivity, how you can connect to the internet and keep in touch with friends and family while you're in South Africa. Now the best way to do this is, if you're here for a short period of time and you need something on the go, is to get a mobile SIM card from one of the operators in South Africa and load it with a data bundle. Now in South Africa there are 4 or 5 mobile operators. They are Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, Telkom Mobile, and then there's Rain. Rain at the moment, at the time I'm making this video, has not released a network for cell phones yet, but they're in the process of doing it. So you can buy a SIM card practically anywhere in South Africa. You can buy it in a supermarket, pretty much anywhere you can think of. The only exception to that is if you have an iPhone or newer Android phone which takes those very small nano SIMs. Those you can only get normally at the outlet shops of the cell phone providers. Now another thing to keep in mind in South Africa is that part of our telecommunications legislation, which deals with intercepting communications, requires that every SIM card in South Africa is registered. This is known as RICA. That's the name of the legislation. So you need to bring some form of identification. I assume you'd have a passport. You need to bring that with you, otherwise if you buy a SIM card, it's simply not going to work on the networks in South Africa because it needs to be linked to a person. So bring a passport with you, and yeah, then you should be able to register it. Now normally it depends, if you buy it in store they can load a data bundle there, they should do, or otherwise you can just load it with airtime, and then using one of the apps for the providers you can purchase a data bundle. And it's very important to do that, because if you don't buy a data bundle you're going to pay a shitload for data. Get a data bundle. They normally start from like 500 megs or something all the way up to like 10 gigs depending on what network it's with, but that's how you can connect to the internet. The other way to connect, and if you want something faster, is to get Wi-Fi vouchers. Now the biggest one in South Africa at the time was it's called Always On. If you go to shopping centers, if you go to hotels, you often, if you pick up the Wi-Fi, you'll see Always On. I think they've been bought or whatever, and it's now at Vast or something like that. Anyway, you can buy data bundles from Always On. They're generally a lot cheaper, and a lot of the malls in South Africa it'll be a lot faster because it's connected to fiber. I've gotten speeds of 70 megabits up and down, which is pretty good. I haven't even gotten that in Europe. So yeah, you can get that if you want. It's a lot cheaper, but you'd have to be in a shopping center or in a place that has an always on hotspot. If it's not fiber, if the Wi-Fi is not fiber connected, then yeah, it'll generally be a bit slower. It'll be like DSL speed, so like 5 or 10 megabits if you're lucky. But that's the other way you can connect to the internet. Now if you want to message South Africans, you're best getting some sort of internet-based messaging system like WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger or iMessage or Signal, because SMSs are still quite expensive in South Africa, and so most people have just defaulted to using internet-based messaging platforms, which is quite unusual compared to like the US or something where they're given pretty much free. We're still a little bit off that. So yeah, if you want to message people in South Africa, the main way to do it is with WhatsApp. Now if you're in South Africa and you want to watch TV, although I don't know why you'd come all this way to watch television, you have a couple of choices. You have the free-to-air television channels, which are SABC 1, 2 and 3. SABC stands for the South African Broadcasting Corporation. The fourth one is ETV, which is a privately held broadcaster. Then we didn't really get cable in South Africa, so you can get satellite TV if it's at your hotel or wherever you're staying, and that normally has, depending on what package you have, you can get up to 400 channels. Now if you're wanting to watch series, I'll be honest with you, you're better with your US or UK or Canadian iTunes or whatever store, you know, Google Play, Netflix. You're better off with those accounts, and the reason being is that because of rights restrictions, the series that we get in South Africa is usually a series behind. That is not something that we've done. It's something that the American broadcasters insist on. We can't air it at the same time for whatever reason. That's what they've decided. So it's usually series behind, but it's not because we're inept or something. Now at some point obviously you're going to want to power your electronic devices in South Africa, and we use the 220, I think it's 220 or 240 volt stand of electricity. So if you're from the US or Canada, you need to check that your adapters support and can switch to the 220 volt standard, otherwise it's going to blow up. So just check that before you get here. And in South Africa, the wall socket that we use is a 3-prong plug. It's one of the gifts that the British left us, so you'll need to get one of that. Now you can luckily buy adapters for this in South Africa. Most adapters they support multiple different versions of plugs, so the American, the British, the other European sorts of plugs, they all fit in this. It's usually about 70 to 90 rand, and you can buy them in like department stores and electronic stores, and yeah, don't spend more than $100, then it's a rip-off. So anyway, this brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found it informative and enjoyable. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments description below, and I'll try to help you out in any way I can. Anyway, it's time for me to go before the rain comes and I get run over. So until next time, bye-bye. And enjoyable. If you have any questions or comment, God, fuck my life. Go away. Like, this is like not even funny. Anyway.